Thank you very much. Good morning. I'm sorry I will not speak in Slovene, but I've also seen that the Commissioner Bulls have actually addressed you in English, so I feel less bad about this. And she masters, obviously, Slovene much, much better than I do. Well, I would like to thank the Slovenia Member Committee of the World Energy Council and the Energy Industry Chamber of Slovenia for this invitation, but above all, my dear friend, Dr. Zlatić, for giving me the opportunity of sharing with you some considerations on what the Energy Union can offer, but also, I think equally important, how can the Energy Union deliver? The Energy Union is a new strategy adopted by the European Commission and presented to the Council in February this year. It has 5 main dimensions: energy security through solidarity and trust, the completion of the internal integrated energy market, energy efficiency, so looking at how energy is used and try to moderate the use of demand, decarbonization, that I think would be the focus, a main focus of this conference, and then innovation and research. So the 5 very important. I was actually, a personal note, I was actually relieved that the new Commission did not immediately come out with a new package. I think we have already enough measures in place, and I think the emphasis, and I think it's the right emphasis, if I may so. Obviously, my opinion doesn't count that much, but the emphasis should be mainly now on implementing them and trying to put them in a coherent and consistent framework. And this is, I think, is a very useful purpose of the Energy Union. Now, I would like to focus on the internal energy market, because this has been one of our main objectives, European main objectives now for 20 years, and one may wonder, why we are not yet there, or what progress has been done and what is still there to be done. Now, what do we mean by internal energy market? I mean, what should be our goals? I think on the one hand is the wholesale level. We want to have secure, competitive markets, wholesale market for electricity and gas throughout Europe. These markets will help not only our competitiveness, but also our security of supply. I think there are various examples of this. I think if we look at the stress test that the European Commission conducted during the summer last year, it came out from, the results showed quite obviously that a cooperative approach to security of supply, to dealing with energy supply disruptions, is a much better approach than each country going by itself. And a cooperative approach meaning working as a single market. So it's not only about competitiveness, it's also about security of supply. I would also say it's also about decarbonization. The integration of renewable energy sources, if anything else, rests on having a more integrated market, both in terms of physical integration and also integration of rules. So this is clearly very important. I will show you where we are, or, well, I will try to give you some glimpse of where we are, because obviously I don't want to take too much of your time. But also we want to deliver benefits to European energy consumers. I think sometimes we focus too much, at least at our level, on the wholesale side. But the proof of the pudding is in the consumers. Not that we want to eat them, but why are we doing all this? It's not for regulators, it's not for ministries, it's not for companies, it's for consumers. Unless we're able to give consumers, to deliver benefits to consumers, I think we would have failed. And what do we mean? We mean at least more secure energy, a better environment, but also greater choice and better prices. I don't say lower prices, better prices. We want prices to reflect the fundamentals, and then if the energy sector is more competitive and is more efficient, then this will result also in lower prices. So this is what we need to do. Now, I would like quickly to give you 2 or 3, as I said, illustrations of where we are in different areas. And I'm sorry if it may look a bit sort of disorganized, but it's a wide topic, and it would take a lot longer to give you a structured. For those of you, structured presentation, for those of you who are really interested in this, I can refer you to our market monitoring report. The last edition was last year in October. We will prepare one for autumn this year. It's 280 pages. You've got all the information you want. This is where we are in the day-ahead electricity market in Europe at the moment. Slovenia and Italy joined the European market coupling in February this year. So now we have a market, a single market, better say, a market that we work on the basis of same rules, and it's fully integrated from Gibraltar to the Barents Sea, and including also Great Britain, the Baltic countries, and Poland, and down to Slovenia. We also have another region that is integrated according to the same model, but as a separate region in sort of Central Eastern Europe, the Slovak Republic, the Czech Republic, Hungary, and Romania. So we've made significant progress even ahead of the rules being put in place. I'll come to that in a moment. Why do we need to do this? Because where this integration doesn't work in the way in which it works in these regions, we are wasting money every day. The top chart is show the extent of wrong way flows, electricity going in the wrong direction, electricity going from where it is more expensive to produce to where it would be cheaper to do it. Now, we don't want to do this. I mean, we are using expensive technology to supply places where it would be much cheaper to do. Why? Because markets do not give the right signals. As you see, there are on some borders, which are not yet integrated in the way in which I showed before. In some borders, it's up to 30-40% of the time where this is happening. And the last one, which is Hungary to Slovakia, you see sort of this bright blue. That was 2012. Now, in 2013, they coupled, and wrong way flows disappeared. So we want to do this. We also want to use our infrastructure as much as possible when price signals are there, when price differentials are large. Again, in the bottom chart, the yellow part is the opportunity loss. So we are wasting money and we're losing opportunity. We are missing opportunity. And I think this is not good, obviously. It's not good for consumers because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are going to pay the bill. And this is our estimate of the loss in terms of social welfare. These are money which we're not delivering to consumers. So this is why I think we need to speed up. Vittorio Musazzi, my colleague from ENSOC, will talk later about the gas sector, so I want to be brief about gas. This is our assessment of where we are in terms of well-functioning of wholesale gas markets in Europe. The greener the country, the better. This is not about environment, by the way. It's about sort of working. It's 5 indicators: diversification of suppliers, churn rate, the concentration of the market. The red countries is where we still have work to be done. As you see, there is still quite an amount of red in some areas in Europe, and what we would like is all countries to be a sort of shade of greens. So there is still work to be done, but as I said, Vittorio will deal with this. Now, there are 2 sides of the coin. One is to try to use what we have, the infrastructure that we have, in the best possible way to integrate the markets, and that's about rules. And also then you want to expand the infrastructure where this is needed. I will very quickly go through both aspects, and this is still at the wholesale level. Then the last 2 minutes, I will also look at whether we are delivering to consumers. Since the agency was established, but this is something that goes back, I think, to 2006, we've adopted at European level a parallel approach. On the one hand, trying to develop the rules, the formal part, having a vision, developing the rules. On the other hand, to try to implement things on the ground, even before they become binding. And this has actually proved to be a wise policy, because as I will show you, the rules have been delayed for a number of reasons, which we may discuss another day. But then we are delivering some of the benefits, not all of them as I've shown, but the market, for example, the electricity market has been already integrated throughout most of the European Union. As I mentioned, these are the rules. I don't want to go through them, but again, the red is where work is still to be done, and the green is where work has been completed. The objective set by European Council back in 2011 was to complete the internal market by 2014. To my taste, there is too much red still there. But the previous chart, the one with a lot of blue in the map of Europe, is of some comfort, because we are delivering despite the fact that the rules, for a number of reasons, and I think again Vittorio will touch that on the gas side, which is actually, gas has been progressing better than electricity when it comes to rules. But as I said, we've also developed roadmaps, voluntary implementation ahead of the rules. There is only goodwill that can work. In a number of dimensions, this is for electricity. I already showed you the day ahead. That's the shiny part of the story. There are other parts which I don't want to touch upon, not to sort of start this conference with depressing note. On electricity, on gas, we also have progress on a voluntary basis with capacity allocation, cross-border capacity allocation projects. There are a number of projects at the moment. One, the sort of Prisma, the one on the green area in the map, which is covering a number of countries and jurisdictions, and we believe that these projects are actually delivering some of the benefits of the internal market. I would like to take now 2 minutes to talk about something which is considered very exotic, but it's not. Is a regulation that was passed in 2011 on the integrity and transparency of market. We're trying to create a European market, but we want that this market functions well. We do not want market manipulation. We do not want insider trading affecting this market. We see the damage that this has caused sometimes in the financial markets. We do not want our energy consumers to suffer because some few participants take advantage of the market to make unfair amount of money. Now, is this an issue? We don't know yet, because this regulation, which, as I mentioned, is this chart shows, is supposed to improve integrity, transparency of the market. It provides for more structured monitoring and cooperation at national European level in order to deter and detect market manipulation. Was introduced in 2011, but it's still going. It still needs to be implemented fully, which will happen later this year. As I said, we don't know if there is a problem there, because at the moment we don't have robust statistics. We only have the few cases which are already reported to the agency, and the agency is playing a major role here. Over the last 3 years, we received around 50 cases. Most of them are still pending. But of the 25 ones that we've been able to close in cooperation with national regulators, 5 proved to involve some sort of breach of the prohibition under remit. Now, I don't want to claim that 20% of trading in Europe has a problem. I just want to say there is an issue there. And I think in order to give confidence to our consumers that the prices they pay reflect the fundamentals of energy demand and supply, I think we do need to look into this, and I hope that the agency will be given the resources to do this. So what do we need to do? Before I sort of pass to the retail sides, what do we need to do? We need to finish the implementation of the target model and of the implementation of all the rules. We also need, in the meanwhile, to push ahead with the voluntary implementation of these rules, because as I mentioned and as I've shown you, the rules, the former rules, there is still a lot of red there, and I think there is some time still before we can complete the implementation, but there is no reasons why consumers should not already be benefiting from an internal market. We want to look at an aspect which is still, what we going forward may create anxiety, with a greater penetration of renewable energy sources which are less programmable than the conventional sources of energy. We need to look at the adequacy and at the flexibility of the system. This is a challenge, but it's a challenge, again, where consumers can help. Demand-side response, demand-side participation is something which we don't think has already seen the full scope. And this is something where consumers can provide value, not only take value from the market, but also provide value to the system. So this is a challenge for all of us, for regulators, for governments, for businesses, because at the end of the day, we need a business model, but we don't consider that we need to put this challenge on the shoulders of consumers. We should give them the opportunity, and therefore we need a business and regulatory model to support this. And we need, obviously, to improve the liquidity and well-functioning of gas markets. We need also to implement REMIT, the regulation on market integrity and transparency, properly. Perhaps for the economy of time, I would like to go through, because I'm sure you will be talking, and Vittorio will be talking about infrastructure. Let me actually take the consumer's angle now. How can we make sure that we deliver the benefits to consumers? Now, consumers at the moment are not switching. Now, switching per se is not the objective, obviously. But the opening, the liberalization of the gas sector is also about giving consumers more choice, greater choice. So them switching from the incumbent supplier to new suppliers. And I think back in 2012, there was a very interesting example here in Slovenia where a new entrant in the gas market managed to change the rule of the game. They're not switching in most member states. They're still staying with incumbents. In most member states, the share of consumers who have actually gone and contract supply from non-incumbent new entrants is still low in a number of member states. Now we have 28 member states. You see there are only a few sort of high bars. Now, as I said, is this a problem? Well, not necessarily. I mean, switching should not be an objective per se, because we can see two scenarios. One in which we have a lot of competition, a lot of competing suppliers. They offer more or less the same terms, because that's what competition should do. I mean, to sort of bring benefits, so better prices, etc. So consumers already benefit from the liberalization without having to switch. On the other hand, it could also, the fact that they don't switch, it could also mean that they would have benefits there would be benefit for them to obtain, but there are not enough competition, there are not enough supply, and there are barriers to switching. Now, we don't know which is which, and we've been working on this, and we're working also with National Consumers Association to try to find exactly why consumers do not switch. I just wanted to show you one chart. Here, I'm sorry, it's very small types. On the horizontal axis, you have this potential savings on a yearly basis that consumers in different member states can obtain by switching from the incumbent offers to the best available offer. And on the vertical axis, you have the degrees of switching. Now, you would expect a positive correlation. The more savings, the more people switch. There is a sort of, statistically, if you do the numbers, it's not significant, but there is a sort of positive correlation. But there are also some interesting outliers. And I mean, the point here to the right seems to belong to another chart. There is one country in Europe, well, it's Germany, by the way, so you don't have to, where apparently there are several hundred euros to be saved, but consumers are happy to stay with incumbent. Again, is this a problem? No. I mean, you may feel comfortable with your current supplier because it has a nice logo, because, you know, they treat you very well when you phone them or whatever, or they send somebody around every week to say, hello, how are you? But obviously this needs to be investigated. So we looked at the issue a bit further. As I said, if you look at the 280 pages, you've got the full story. But we believe that there are still a number of aspects which need to be addressed. So the energy union is also this, because if you know, in the communication there is a new deal for consumers. A new deal for consumers means empowering them, allowing them to benefit fully from a more competitive market. I think there is a perception about consumers that switching is complex, that if they switch, something may go wrong. Part of this perception is probably conveyed somehow by the incumbents in some member states. So we need to harmonize the rules. We need to harmonize the procedures. We need also to provide them comparison and switching tools so that the process becomes easier and easier. We need also to remove regulated price and focus more on vulnerable consumers. Sometimes regulated price, they've been put in place for a good reason. But with competition, or with the pickup of competition, perhaps consumers will say, well, if these prices are regulated by the regulator, they must be good. So why should we go out in the market? We feel comfortable with regulated prices. And they don't even think about going out in the wild market. So if they are set obviously below new entrant cost, they represent an absolute barrier to entry. But even when they're set high, because sometimes I hear, well, what's the problem? We're setting it high enough. There is room for others to come in. But the concept of regulated prices in itself may discourage, may give a sort of feel-good sense on consumers. We need to harmonize the regulatory regimes. I put here retail passport with a question mark because there is a big debate out there as to whether this is a good idea or not. Personally, I think it's not a bad idea. And also I think we enforce unbundling properly, because sometimes this sort of misinformation is conveyed because there is not enough unbundling between the monopoly and the non-monopoly part of the value chain. So there is a lot still to be done, but the benefits are there to be taken, and I hope that with the Energy Union strategy and the support of everyone at all levels, we will be able to deliver these benefits to ourselves. In the evening when we go home, we are all energy consumers. So to European energy consumers, because I think after almost 20 years that we're trying to create an internal market, they deserve to get these benefits. Thank you very much.